But you know I love your love. Your love's amazing to choose somebody like me. Now I'm gonna follow your lead. If they think I'm crazy, I don't care. I'll say, hey, I can't say enough. How you lay down your life so we could be free. So now I'm gonna follow your lead. Come on now, follow his lead. You are love and I worship you. Whatever you say, I will do. You have my heart, show me the truth. Elohim, breathe on me. Let your glory.
Preserve me, oh God, for in you I place my trust. For I've said to you, you are my Lord, I am nothing without you.
Hello Harmony friends, so my name is Lucero and I would like to tell you a little bit about my story, a little bit about my testimony, since I find my testimony to be quite long, so I chose a part of it to share today. I have also shared in a different part of it on the website, which you could go and read, but today I wanted to share a different part about my story and how that affected my life in a negative way and now in a very positive way. I was born in Colombia, one of 7 children, and I grew up on a farm. I wanted to talk about certain lies I believed, and one very important one is that I believed that I was not wanted and that I was an accident, that my mother didn't want me and perhaps my father didn't want me because my mother had told me that I was an accident. And so for many years I had that sadness in me because I didn't believe that my mother loved me. I believed that because of that I didn't give myself enough worth, that I just wanted to feel wanted. So whoever would make me feel wanted, I would tend to hang out with those people and go out with those people, and for some time as well I would date those guys that would make me feel wanted. And I lived a life that wasn't fruitful. Although in the moment it brought me some sort of joy, my life was pretty empty because I was always looking for the next person that would make me feel wanted. But then if that relationship ended, then I would feel unwanted again. And so it was very destructive. And it wasn't until perhaps 10 years ago when I just pondered upon the idea that I had not been wanted by my parents. I started remembering how my mother had told me, Lucero, you were an accident. We were not planning to have you. And I got pregnant, and my pregnancy was very difficult and I was very sick. And the doctors told me to terminate the pregnancy because I would put my life at risk by having you. But of course, I decided to have you. I never thought of not having you, even though they told me it was very risky. So it was that moment that I realized, wait a minute. Yes, my mother didn't plan to have me, but once she knew she was pregnant, she was pregnant with me, she was willing to risk her life to have me. And it was amazing. I woke up the next day thinking, I am so loved, I am so wanted. And my life really started to change then, because I started looking for truth, and I started looking at things that I had believed in the past and say, what if this is a lie too? One of the things that I had also believed is that Yahuah, the God of the Bible, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, that he was a mean God, that he had many rules and that he would punish me for very small things, because the way I grew up as well, I was introduced to a very strict God, but I was never explained the why or why his instructions were there. And so I always thought he was mean, and I decided that I didn't want anything to do with that God because he seemed too mean to me. So at one point I stopped believing in that God. And so by finding out that okay, my mother did love me, And then I started searching more, and I started attending a church back in Vancouver, and started really rediscovering the God of the Bible. And I never wanted to be a mediocre follower of Yeshua, Jesus, whom most of us know as Jesus. I really wanted to be fully devoted to him. And so I really started to see his life and how he lived and what he did and who he was. And I realized that yes, the God of the Bible has beautiful instructions. The God of the Bible shows his love. He showed his love that while we were sinners, he died for us in the person of Yeshua. And it has been a beautiful journey of discovering truth and searching for it. And so I now walk in this beautiful path of life that I have found, and that is so rich. And the parts of God that I thought I didn't like, I love them so much now. I love the Psalms, and just to learn about him and his character and who he is and who he wants us to be. Just even reading Psalm 1, before I thought this seemed so impossible and who can do it, right? And I thought to myself, no one is righteous then. But now I listen to it or I read it and I say, wow, how beautiful you are. How beautiful are your commandments, and how sweet it is to walk in them, and how much wisdom he gives us in his word and in his instructions. So that's part of my journey, what I wanted to share today. That even though now I actually live in constant pain, I experience a lot of pain on my back and my neck and my right shoulder, and terrible headaches as well due to an injury I had a few years ago. I enjoy this peace, this beautiful harmony with my creator, my maker. Like for instance, Psalm 16 verses 8 to 9. I have set Yahuah always before me, because he is at my right hand, I shall not be shaken. Therefore my heart is glad, and my whole being rejoices. My flesh also dwells secure. So even when I'm in terrible pain, I can look at the word and I can say, he is at my right hand, and I shall be glad. My heart is glad, and my whole being rejoices. Even my flesh dwells secure. So even when my flesh is in pain, I can say that and believe it and be in such rest and such peace. It's just so beautiful to live a life after truth, after the truth of Yahuah, our maker. So my life really started to change after I started to discover truth. And I have been searching for it more and more. And the pages of the Bible is the only place to find them. And so I just often go to Psalm 119. And the more I read it, the more I listen to it, the more I fall in love with his teachings, his Torah, his instructions to us. And I just find them so beautiful that I want to learn them more. And I ask him to give me understanding. Like the last part of that psalm, that has been my prayer for a long time. Even before I came to this psalm, I was already praying this. I was praying, let my cry come before you, oh Yahuah. Give me understanding according to your word. Let my plea come before you. Deliver me according to your word. And then it keeps talking about giving him praise and about his instructions being my delight, and that I long for his salvation. I know it was Dave who said it, but I say it often to him, and I find that it's such a beautiful portion of scripture that reminds me. Even at the end of the psalm, it talks about being have gone astray, and Dave asked God to come and save him. So for me, it's like I was there, I was lost, and you came and saved me. And so even now, like if I feel that in any situation that I'm not perhaps walking with him as I would like to, or if I'm feeling afraid or discouraged, I just go and read that psalm again and remind myself of how he has answered me in the past and how he will answer me even now. As well as Psalm 16 verse 11. That is the passage of my life now, and it's just so beautiful. And it says, "You make known to me the path of life. In your presence there is fullness of joy. At your right hand are pleasures forevermore." And so I just wanted to share of how I have found these pleasures and this fullness of joy that can only be found in him, and that he surrounds me with songs of deliverance from believing lies about myself, and just the beauty of walking with him and knowing that he is near and that he is life and he gives us life. And so I just don't want to make it any more longer than it is. I would like to say goodbye now. Thank you for listening. May Yahuah bless you.